course. So in this video we are going to be creating a creative image effects by just using HTML and CSS. So the first one will be this one. So once we hover our mouse over to it, so we would get this kind of animation right here, and if we move it, so we'll get our image right here. So now the second one which we are going to be creating is once we hover our mouse over to it, so it will now gives us this container right here at the bottom, and now if we move it, so it will now gives us our image. So now the third one which we are going to be creating is once we hover our mouse over to it, so this container will take its entire space and we will have this content right here. So if you take our mouse off, so it will now just collapse right here. So we are going to be creating these three animation in this video. So now without wasting any time, let's jump right into our code editor and write our code. In the previous video we've created this creative menus. In this video we are going to be creating this image effects by just using HTML and CSS. No JavaScript, no preprocessors like Sans, etc., but just HTML and CSS. So in the description of this video you will find a link to my GitHub repository. So I want you to go to that repository and download this folder. Inside this folder you will find 3 nested folders and no code whatsoever. I have like this index.html file and style.css file, but no code whatsoever in all of these files. Okay, so no code, nothing inside this file. You can create it by your own, but the thing I want you to grab is these 3 images. Like the first image will be this one, the second will be this one, and the third one will be this one. And again, you are totally free to use your own images if you want to follow along with this video, so you can just download these images from my GitHub repository. Okay, so starting from the first one, which is their effect 1, I'm going to just open my index.html file and style.css file. Okay, so now let me zoom in a bit so that you guys can see everything a bit better, and then I'll just write a doc, and here I'll give a name of like effect 1, and then I'll also link it with my CSS file right here. Okay, underneath this image we can write our article, and this article will have the class of content. Okay, and inside this article we will have like h1, which will say like welcome to the real world, and then we will have our h4, and which will say like write your content here, or you can choose emojis. If you want to grab emoji, you just have to hold the Windows button, or I don't know how to work with the Mac, but in Windows you can just hold the Windows button and then just hit period or dot. So then here you can choose like whichever emoji you like. In my case I'm gonna just search for like I don't know, S would be fine, and then I'm gonna click on that. I'm gonna choose that one, and then these glasses will be fine. So once I save my file, then I have to launch it by using a live server. So here is my image right here, really massive, and here's the content. Alright, so then I want to go to my style sheet, and first of all we are going to be writing our resets. So you know what, I'll just leave the resets for now. Then I'll just write body, and height will be 100 VH, display will be flex, justified content will be center, aligned items will be center, and font family will be sans serif. You can choose whichever font family you like, but in my case I just choose like sans serif because it's simple and it will just remove those serifs. Okay, so and I also want this to be like 100 VH, and I want everything to be center, perfectly center. Okay, so everything is now perfectly center, and this image is really massive. So first of all, let's style this container, and then we can take care of the other stuff. So I'll just write a width of 30 rem, and then I'll also duplicate it and change the height to 30 rem. Position will be relative and overflow will be hidden. So once I save my file, so here you can see we've got this box, but it's containing all of our image and all of our content. The overflow is hidden, so that's why we are getting nothing. So here you can see if I delete that overflow, so here you can see that it will give us that massive image right here. Okay, so overflow will be hidden for this case. So once I save it, we've got our perfect box right now. Alright, so the next thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to select this image for now. So inside the container, inside that container we have the image. So now let's select our image, and we want to give it a width of 100% because we want to take all of the entire space of the width, and then transition will be 1 second. So once we save our file, so here's our image, and we did provide a transition to it because whenever we are hovering over through this image, we will have that other slide effects, so we want the transition to happen smoothly. Okay, so The next thing which you have to style is this content area. So I'm going to just select like content, and then inside this content, position will be now absolute. This one will be position relative, and this content will be absolute to this container. Okay, which means like this content, whatever we do inside this content will be nested inside this container. Okay, so this is position relative and this is position absolute. And now inside the top will be 0, left will be also 0, and height will be 100%, and the width will be also 100%. Okay, so this is our content right here, and we don't have any hover effects, so that's why we are seeing that right here. And the next thing which I'm going to do, I'll just center the text inside this box right now. So I'll just write like display of flags, justify corner of center, align items of center. Okay, and color will be totally white. And then what I'm going to do is I'll also provide a transition to this one as well, because we will also provide a hover effect to this one. And background will be RGB, and I'm going to change this one to 23 comma, and you know what, I'm going to copy this one and paste it 3 times right here. Okay, so this will be my primary color, and then transform will be just translate x minus 100%. Okay, so now let's add our hover effect. So like content hover, and then I mean like container hover and content, and then transform will be translate x0. So once we save our file and once we hover our mouse over to it, so here you can see our content is showing up, but this is looking a bit messy. So now let's center that. Okay, so let me just provide a but flex direction to column and save my file. And whenever we hover our mouse over to it, so this is how it looks like. Okay, and the last thing which I'm going to do is I'll also provide a hover effect to this image. So I'll just write container hover image, and then transform to just translate x 100% and save our file. So whenever we hover our mouse over to it, this image will be gone and that other slide will take its place. Okay, so if I just comment that out, so it will just happen smoothly, and this will not push up to the right. If we uncomment it and save our file, so it will now go to the left, and this one will also take its place. Okay, so this was the first effect. We just style the body, we just style the container, we style the image, it's smaller, and we just provide a bit of transition to it, and then we just set this position to absolute. Top will be 0, left will be 0. We provide the width as same as the container, and if we just center all of our content, so this was the second slide, and then we just provide a bit of hover effect to it. So that was quite simple and easy. So now let's jump right into the next effect, which is this second one. Okay, so I'll open both of these files, and here I'll just try like doc type HTML and effect 2, and then I'll also link it with my CSS, and I'll also open it with the live server. And now here for the HTML side, I want to just write like it'll be the same as the other one, like section, we have a container, and inside this section we have an image, which will be this girl image or the boy, I can't even remember. And then we have an article, and inside we will give a class of content, and inside this article we will just write h1 of card title, and then I don't know, your card title, maybe this emoji will be fine. And then we will have h4, which will say like content goes here, and then we will just choose this glasses emoji, save our file, and this is our image, and this is our content right here. Okay, so now let's jump right into the CSS and style it a bit. So first of all, I'll just do like perfect centering, like body will be 100 VH, and then we have a display of flags, justify content center, align item center, font family sans serif. You can choose whichever font you like. Then I'll select my container. Width will be 30 rem, and height will be also 30 rem, and position will be relative, and overflow will be hidden as we saw just in a second ago. So it will give us this box right here. So now let's select our container one more time, and image inside the container width will be 100% and transition will be all 0.5 second. And once you save it, nothing will shows up except this image will be perfectly centered inside this box. All right, so now let's jump right into the content area, which is this content area. Like we are going to be selecting this article and this content inside this article. So I'll just select this content, and inside this content position will be absolute because we want them to be perfectly centered inside this container. Okay, so this is a position relative and we want them to be like position absolute, and then bottom will be 0, and also left will be also 0, and then we have a height of 25%, and then width will be 100%. Okay, so once we save it, nothing is gonna happen. And then let me center the content, okay, or text, whatever you want to call it, and then just write a display of flex, justify content center, align, flex direction will be column, justify content center, align item center, and then color will be totally white. And also we have to provide a transition to it, all 0.5 seconds, and then background will be just RGB, and then 23 comma, and let me just copy that and paste it one more time and one more time and remove that comma from the end, and then transform, translate y-axis and 100%. So save it, and this is our content right here. Okay, can anyone see it? Okay, let me just wait a bit. All right, so content is gone from there. So now let's provide our hover effect here. So container, and whenever we hover over to this container in content, not container but content, and here we'll just provide a transform of translate to the y-axis and 0%. So once we hover over to it, so here now you can see we have this card title right here, and you can just write your own content right here. Okay, so but this image is not going up above, so we want this image to go a little bit above, and also this this content container as well. So now let's do that. So for that we are going to be using container and then hover image. Okay, so whenever we hover over through this image, so this image will just push itself to a little bit above. So we will just write transform, translate to y minus 30% and save our file. And now once we hover over to it, so here you can see this image is getting above, and also this content area right here. Okay, so this was the second effect. So now let's jump right into the third one. Let me review all of this code as well. So we are just providing 100 VH height, and we are just perfectly centering our container. Inside this container we give them a 30 VH height and width, and position will be relative, and overflow will be hidden. And then we have a container, we select image, we give them like the same width and height, like take the same width and height of this container, and we just provide a little bit of transition to it. Then we have our content, the position will be absolute, bottom left everything will be 0, and then height will be 25% and width will be 100%. Then we center our text inside that container, inside this little container here, you can see that. And then we just give a color of white, transition, and then we just give a background of that kind of black color right here. And then we also provide transform, translate y. So whenever we hover over to it, so it will just take its place to from 0 to 100%, and then we provide that same transition to the image. So once we hover over to it, so it will just translate to the y-axis for like minus 30. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Alright, so now jumping into our third effect, so I'll just close the other one, open my HTML and CSS, just write a doc type HTML effect and number 3, and then I'll link my CSS file to that, and now we are good to go. And now let's open that file inside a live server. And this one is going to be a little bit tricky one. So for that we are going to have to write a section with a class of card, and inside this card section we have to provide image container first of all, and then we have to just specify our image. This is our image. Now let's remove that alt tag from there. And inside this section, or you know what, not inside this section but outside from that section, we have to provide another section with the class of content, and inside this section we will just provide like h3 of card title, and then we have a paragraph of lower, just how many you want. I'll just remove a few of them like so, and then I'll just provide an anchor tag, and it will goes to nowhere except it will say like learn more. Okay, so once we save our file, so this is our massive image, and this is our card, this is our description, and this is our button right here. Okay, so now let's jump right into a CSS and style it a bit. So let's start from the first one, which is a body. So background will be that RGB, not A but 23. Copy it, paste it, and then height will be 100 VH, the same as the other one. Display will be flex, justify corner will be center, align item will be center, font family will be sans serif, and now save it. So everything is perfectly center. Alright, so now let's select our card, and then just provide a position of relative to it, and width will be 30 rem, and height will be in this case 35 rem. Okay, and the background color will be just totally black. And then finally box shadow, we're gonna have to provide a box shadow to it like 0 pixel, and then 30 pixel one more time, and then RGBA 0.5. Okay, this will be our shadow, just a little bit. Okay, so our images are really massive, so now let's make our image a little bit smaller inside that box. So now let's select our content, and we have to provide a position of absolute to it, and bottom will be 0 pixel, and then width will be 80 not percent but pixel, yeah, it was percent not pixel, and then height will be just 10 pixel, and background color will be crimson, and left will be just 10%, and also text align will be center, and transition will be 0.5 second, overflow will be hidden as always, and display will be flex. Now we are centering our content in center, align item will be center. Alright, so now let's select our image and just make it a bit smaller, like width will be 100%, and height will be also 100%. Object fit will be cover, not contains but cover, and then we have a transition of 1 second. So once we save it, alright, so here's our image, and here is our content inside this image. So it's looking a bit weird, so I messed it up. So I'm gonna cut this coding from there and paste it inside this section right here. So this is now looking good, okay, instead of just taking it outside. So now let's select our H3 right now. So I'm gonna just select my H3, and then just provide like font size of 30 pixel, and text transform will be uppercase. No, yeah, uppercase will be fine, and margin will be 25 pixel. Color will be totally white. So once we save it, we can't even see our content right now. So now let's give a little bit of height to it. Not instead of 110, I'll just give them 100 so we can see our content right now. Maybe 200 will be fine. We will just change that in a second, but now let's first of all format all of them, and then we can change it to 10. Alright, so this was H3. The next thing, I'm going to select this paragraph and give a width of 80%. Margin will be 10 pixel auto, and then font size will be 18 pixel, and then transition will be 0.5 seconds, and then opacity will be 0 because we want to increase there whenever we hover over or mouse over it, and then line height will be 25 pixel, and color will be totally white. Okay, so save it, and this is our text, but let me comment this opacity for now, and this is now our text. So now let's make it perfectly center. Okay, I should have to provide display. Where are you? Inside of content, where is our flex box? Okay, so here I'll just add like flex direction column. So save it, and now it's looking a bit cool. So now let's format this button very quickly. So here now I'm gonna just do is it will be also 100% for now because we want to format everything. And now let's format this button. So I'll just select that button really quickly. So I'll just select that anchor tag. Inside this anchor tag, text decoration will be none, background color will be black, and then color will be totally white, and then padding will be 10 pixel and 15 pixel, and then display will be inline block. Okay, and then margin top will be just like 10 pixel, and then transition will be 0.5 pixel. Not pixel, but just a second. And then opacity will be also 0, and line height will be 25 pixel. Color will be totally white, and let me comment this opacity is 7, and this is how our button will look like. Okay, so now it's looking a bit cool. All right, so now let's add our hover effects there. So I'll just uncomment this opacity and also uncomment this opacity as well, and now let's change this to just like 10 pixel again, save it, and this is how it looks like right now. Okay, so our content is not showing, nothing is showing because we just provided the height of 10 pixel. So whenever we hover over through this card, so it will take the entire space, like width will be 100% and height will be 100%, and opacity will be just set to 1, so it will just show up. That's why we provide these opacities, like where are you, opacity. So here's the opacity and here's also the opacity. So now let's change that. So whenever we hover over through this card content, so we want the height to be 100%, we also want the width to be 100%, we want the left percent to be 0%. So whenever we hover our mouse over to it, so here you can see the card will take its totally place, and we cannot see the order content because we just provided opacity of 0. So now let's change that to like something else, maybe I don't know, card will be hover. Now let's select our paragraph, comma, let's also select our hover anchor text. So opacity will be 1, and transition delay will just take a bit of time, like 0.5 seconds. So now once we hover our mouse over to it, and so here now you can see our content is back. So it's taking a bit of time, but that's cool. That's why I provide this transition delay to it. Now let's select this image container. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just write image container, and then just provide a position of absolute. Top will be 0, left will be 0, width will be 100% because we want this image to take its entire place, and height will be also that, and then transition and 1 second. Okay, so now our image is looking like that, but if we hover our mouse over to it, like card hover image, so once we hover our mouse over to that image, so the opacity will be 0. Okay, so now let's do that. All right, so that image will be gone. Here you can see the opacity, like just focus on this image, it's just like decreasing, the opacity is just becoming 0%. This card is taking its place. Okay, so that was quite simple and easy. I talk a lot, oh my god, I can't even speak no more. All right, so now let me review all of the code, not all of the projects, but just this code. Okay, the first thing we did is we just centered everything, and we provide a height width of 100 VH, and then we create our card, and we provide a position relative to it. We give a width of 30 and height of 35. Background color is totally black, and box shadow, we just provide this a little bit of box shadow. Here you can see that if I change the color of it to like I don't know, blue maybe, and here you can see that box shadow right now. So let me just change that to that. So here you can see we just provide that box shadow. Then we have our content container, like this content, where are you, this content right here. So this content is position absolute, bottom is 0%, width will be 100%, height will be 10 pixel, because we just want them to be look like this. So whenever we hover our mouse over to it, so this code will happen. Where are you? So this code will happen. So whenever we hover our mouse over to it, so the height will be 100% and the width will be also 100%, so like this. Okay, and then we provide a transition delay to it. So this text will take a little bit of time, so this text will take a little bit of time, and so is this button. So focus on this area, and this is what's going on. Anyhow, then we just check our container. So whenever we hover our mouse over to it, so that container, that image will be just gone. That's because of this opacity right here. It will take 1 second to happen. So now if you guys don't know about Git and GitHub, so feel free to skip this video and jump right into the next project, or you can just watch this video and let me just push this code to my GitHub repository. So I'm gonna open my terminal. We can also do the with git bash, with PowerShell to be precise, but I'm gonna do it with git bash. Git status. Oh, come on. get status. So we have this folder. Now you want to push that, so I'm going to just use like get add and add everything to the staging area, and then get commit dash m, and I don't know, creative image effects added. Okay, so if I hit enter, it will do our commit for us. And then what can I do? Yeah, get push origin main. Okay, so kapow, it will now push our code to our GitHub repository. Okay, so it will take a little bit of time. That's because of these images right here. We have these images, so that's why it's taking a little bit of time. Okie dokie. So this is the 6th project, and now we will have to see our 7th project. Alright, so now we successfully push our code to our GitHub repository. So now let me refresh my browser so we can see that 7th folder. Yep, it's here. So now let's check it. And effect 1, effect 2, effect 3. So here's the image, here's the index.html. I guess I forgot to provide HTML. Come on. How is it working if I didn't provide L to it at the end? Alright. So now let me just change get add, not get add, but get status. Yep, get add everything, get commit dash m, added L in HTML extension, header, and then get push origin main. Alright, so I'm wondering how does it work if you don't have that L. So how does it work anyhow? So now let me refresh that. It will still work, by the way, but I just want to find, okay, page not found. We have to go back because we did a little bit of changing in there. Alright, so now let's check our effect 1, and now we have this HTML5. Anyhow, so now we have our code back, and then we have style CSS. Alright, so I guess that was it about today's video, and I will see you in the next video. So bye bye.